So this is what I've done. I have done this. I've downloaded a bunch of things. Downloaded a couple of images from pexels.com, right? I looked for toy car and I looked for car paint. So I've downloaded this this red one right there. That looks pretty cool. And I also downloaded a green car, so that is right here, an AMG fancy Mercedes-Benz. Mm-hmm. And I would have to, pay a little attention to the Photoshop part of it, because the dark background right there is a little brownish by the wheel down there, by the bumper. So I would have to go into Photoshop and fill that in with the black, measure that black, measure the color, because it's a rich black, or extend it out in black, and extend the black in Photoshop as well. So the idea is to do this, right? So this is my business card. So this is the size of it, right? I've created a business card with a 1/8 bleed right there. So this is the edge of my card right there. So this is my bleed, 1/8, and I also did a 1/8 margin, and then I also created 3 columns right off the bat. So I have the rule of 3, right? The rule of thirds, right? So that way I can place my image in the corner. And right now my image is only right here, so it bleeds off completely because I don't want to have the AMG license plate, right? I just want just a corner, just a hint of the car, right? Maybe a little bit further to the right. I don't want to. There you go, something like this, right? So this is what it would look like. So it's just a hint of a cool car, basically, right? What I did after that to pick the colors to create some swatches. I don't know if you can see the swatches right here. I have a color theme right here. All I did is I used the eyedropper, and you have the option, if you click and hold, you have the color theme right there, and then it'll pick basically the colors of this particular image, right? So I have a teal, a lime green, a brown, because it's kind of like part of the bumper down here, and a darker brown as well. So those colors I'm going to ignore, but I want the lime, or I want the bright green color, right? So those are added to my swatches right here. I've typed this thing very, very quickly right there. To go first name, last name, telephone number, email, name at paintshopyyc.ca, a fake address, just, complete random stuff, right? So this is what I have right here. I also went to get well, not a logo, but an icon on the Noun Project. .com right there, the Noun Project, and I looked for paint sprayer. So this is what I got. So this one is literally just it's not even iconic, it's literally just an illustration of a paint sprayer, but I thought that was pretty cool. So I grabbed that SVG file, and it's free, right? I signed up. I have a free account in there. I signed up. I download the icon. I open it up in Illustrator, and then this is what I do. I just select it. I go copy it, right? Come on, right there, copy, and then I switch back to InDesign, and then I paste. And now I have my icon in there, right? There, black on black. So I can, now it's an object within InDesign, right? So I can always, scale it up. For example, I can now make it 60%. It's a little smaller. So I'll come back to that. But first, I made those colors, and I want to use those colors in there, right? So I have my color themes in there. So I'm going to, first in my swatches right here, I'm going to go select all unused, hit the hamburger menu right there, go select all unused, right? And then deselect the ones I want to keep. I don't want the browns. I want to keep the lime colors. Yeah, so I'm deleting all of those, right? So all of those are ones that I don't need, I just go select, delete. So now my color theme is a lot easier, right? So this black RGB right there, the RGB 0000 right there, it's the color of this thing, the object that I grabbed over, because it's an SVG, so they make it, they always are in RGB. So I just switch it to regular black, and then I can get rid of that specific RGB color. I don't want any RGB colors. So here I have my information right there. So I can go, you know what? I'm going to keep it white right there. First, I'm going to change the font because it's not exactly cool to have a Minion Pro serif font for a paint shop. I think it's a little too conservative. So I'm going to find a cool font. Unfortunately, I have to install some cool fonts on this computer because there's literally nothing available.
Yeah.
So I'm not even sure what I can use here because it's pretty miserable. Let's see. Jupiter? No, it's terrible. I haven't thought of that. I always go by default. I always go Avenir. But let's do Avenir because there's really nothing on this machine. So I have to install some stuff. So Avenir next. Let's put some Avenir next because there's a bunch of different styles, right? So there's from ultra light to bold to heavy, etc., etc. So I'm going to keep it medium because I need a little bit of contrast. It's a white type on black. I don't want to put, I want to put some emphasis on that, right? So I'm going to go put my name in green. Put the telephone or just a T green as well. Same with the E right there. And I'm not creating any paragraph styles for that stuff. It's just not really worth it. Not worth the time for now. I can change those to a heavy like this, so it's bumps it up a little bit, so it's a little cooler. You don't even need the column right here. So what I have here is I have just made a space, right? I just hit the space bar. But if I hit the tab instead, this is what happens, right? I get a weird tab that gets pushed completely out of the way, right?
Yeah.
So you can customize your tab. You can literally just select all here, just go Command A, select all. And you go into type, you go tabs, and that gets you your little tab ruler basically on top of your text box right there. So you have your ruler, this is in inches, and then these are the sorts of the type of the tab. So left justified tab, center, right justified, etc., etc. So I want to have a left justified one, which is this one. And you have to create one. You have to click. It's a very, very silly thing. You have to click in that tiny little space above the ruler and above the control bar right there, right in that little white area right there. So you just click there, and this is where your tab is. And as you move this around or change the number around just by using the arrows, this is what happened to your text. So I put it at 1/4 of an inch. Maybe that's a little too far away. That's too close. Yeah, so this is good. Just like that. At 0.1875, which is what is it? It's the 3/16 of an inch. Oh my goodness. And you can close that. What I want to do now is I want to create a little bit of emphasis on the name. So right now it's 9 point, medium. So I want to make it maybe bold to make it, bump up a little bit. The address information can be smaller, right? It doesn't really need that much. You want to have the phone number and the email more prominent. But what I want to do now in this particular text frame is I want to go to my paragraph controls up here. So you switch between character and paragraph, and all it is when you have a white screen, it just switches the left side becomes the right side, and the right side becomes the left side. So it's either or, right? So I can switch over. So if you have a small monitor like a laptop, you have to switch between the character and the paragraph formatting controls right there. So what I want to do is I want to create a little space after this paragraph, which is first name, last name. So it's all up here right there, right? So you have that little icon right here. See the little lines. I wish it would show me my tool tip there. Is it going to show me my tool tip? No. Anyways, so sometimes it works, sometimes it does not. So right here, you have your little space after. So all you have to do is you click on those little arrows and you add a little space right there. And then same thing under the email right there. I'm just going to add a little space right there. And then maybe a little bit more after the name. Right. So here, suddenly you have your text box right there that looks a little better, right? So what I want to make sure of, here is I want to put the text right at the bottom of the text frame right there. So you can scoot it down and move it down, but it's never perfect. So the easiest way is you right click on it and you go text frame option, which is Command D right there. And by default, your text is always, let me move this out of the way. By default, your text is always at the top, right? This is vertical justification right down here. It's always at the top by default. It's always at the top of your text frame. You can put it in the center, or you can put it at the bottom right there. And then now your text is like at the bottom of your text box on your guide, and it's at the bottom of your card, and then done right there. just like that, right?
Okay.
So it keeps a lot of things open. Maybe it's a little too close to the left edge. I have some room to play with, but now I need to create a logo. So I'm just gonna. You may have a logo already built. I don't have one, so this is why I grabbed that icon, and I'm gonna use the green again right there. You know, make that sprayer there. I'm gonna flip it because I prefer to go to the right-hand side. So in the controls up here, in the control bar right there, you have your flip horizontal and vertical, etc., or you can rotate it. So I'm just gonna flip it right there. So, and it shows that it's 180 degrees flipped. And you know, I'm gonna make it white, and I'm gonna make a circle behind, for example. You know, making something very, very simple. I'm gonna make that green. Oops, and then no stroke. Thank you very much. So I want to move that object in front, so I select it, arrange, right-click, arrange, bring to front. So here you have some kind of a logo-ish. It's not exactly perfect. Doesn't have to be. You know, I'm not a big fan of that, actually. I'm just going to do this. There you go. There's a little bit better. Do I have my stroke right there in my properties? And then I name it paint shop YYC. So I just typed this very, very quickly. Again, I pick my font again, which was Avenir Next, condensed. Oh, no, not the condensed. Heavy italic. There you go. Something like this. Right there, like this. You know, something simple like that. Add a little bit of color. I'm gonna make this a little bigger. And then I'm changing my leading right there to keep things a little tighter right there. And then you line this up, align it with your, again, in your control bar on the top, you align things right there, align vertical. Right click in there, again, text frame options to make sure that this is at the top or centered or whatever. It hasn't changed anything. So yeah, just like that. Right, so you have, I'm gonna just grab all of that stuff and then group them. So you can right click and group. So it's one object, so it's easier for me to move things around. And then, as I said, it's a little too close to the edge for my liking. There's a big gap of black on the right-hand side here. So what I can do is I can, you know, increase a little bit of my my margin. So I can either go into my master page, or I can just, you know, click and drag from the ruler right here, and then you see the measurements right there. It's like, you know, I'm just going to drop it here at 0.345, which is a random number. But you can do, you know, InDesign is like a calculator, so you can select your guide right there as long as they're not locked, right? So you go under view and guides, so you can lock guides. Right now it's not locked, which is perfect, exactly what I want, but you can lock them if you want to. So here I select it, and then right there in the control bar up there, it shows me the X and Y axis. So from the left hand side, it's at 3.45, which is not a fraction of an inch. So I'll use the arrows right here. So, and then I'll move it to, let's say, 1/4 of an inch, right? And then same thing here. You have your, so I can snap it to the guide right there. But if I want to be extremely precise with that object, same thing again in the upper left corner right here. This is your reference point. You can go from the very left edge reference point right here, and this is your measurements from the left side, which is 2.889, which is not the 1/4 of an inch. And you use just that to snap it back, right? Same thing here. Select it and then go snap, and now it's everything is at the 1/4 of an inch, just to, you know, just to make sure. So you have two options. You can use a guide, or you can, you know, what I do very often is I use what I call the math. Is I just use that, look at the measurements in the upper left there, and I just move things accordingly. And there you have a you know, a basic business card, right? Alternatively, because you have like, okay, so this is cool, I like that, but it's like, okay, but I want to do something else, right? So again, you know, like that image, as you can see, the image just, you know, there's the poor blending right there between my standard black of the card, right, and then the image.
Mm-hmm.
And then my black right now is a standard straight 100% black. But if I go into and if I were to print this as is like this right now, this is what you'd end up with. You'd end up with something like that. You'd end up with something a little closer to that in real life, because you have a regular standard 100% black in the background, and then that image has a rich black, right? So it's a mix of CMYK or RGB in this case. But it's a rich black because it's a mix of 4 different colors. So it'll never print properly. So you would have to go into Photoshop, extend the background of that image, or cut it out, or mask it, and cut it out just the exact shape of the car, and delete the background. So you wouldn't have a background at all, right? And that would be the way to get it done properly. Otherwise, you will literally end up with something that would print like that. You would have a flat black, which is a single 100% black, and you would have the rich black from that image, and that's just not going to print very well. So there's that option right there. So you can do something like this, right?
Yeah.
I just showed the 98% just to show the difference, but this is what it would look like. So what you see on your screen is never going to be what you get on print, right? So be careful.
Oh, yeah.
So alternatively, you have this right there, and then I grabbed another photo of this little toy car because it's fun. And it's yellow, so it's a yellow background. So you can do the same thing again. You can literally just move that image around, move it down here, scale it down because it's not. I don't want it to be too much down here. I don't want it to be too big. And it's the same thing here. You want to add a color to it. You go to your color theme right there, and you literally click on the image right there. And then here you have all the colors from that specific image, basically mostly yellows, browns, and the red, right? And you can go add this theme to swatches right there. Click on that, and then now in your swatches you have the color again. So these are a rich yellow, like it's a 6 cyan, 19 magenta, 84 yellow. So it may not be the right background color, but this is just for demonstration purposes. I'm just gonna see that. Oh, that's not quite the same yellow. This one is not quite the same yellow either. So I would have to go into Photoshop and extend that yellow. So this is why I wanted to show you the difference between the rich black and the black. You can't really tell, but when you pick a yellow and it's not quite the same yellow, this is what happens. So it would happen the exact same way with a rich black versus a regular black, right? So here, same thing again, right? You have a funky little graphic basically, and it's a photograph from Pexels. It's free, and then from here you can just grab that information. Ooh, come on, there it is. Grab that information, and I want to move it to the upper right this time. So I go again, text frame options. This time I don't want to have my text at the bottom of my text frame. I want it to be at the top. And I want to select all, and I want to align it to the right-hand side right there. Boom, like this. So because I have those tabs, this is what happens. Right? It creates a weird gaps in between tabs and when you right align things. So another trick to do that is you add another tab in front of those letters, and then you change your tab again, right? So again, type, tabs, and then you create a right aligned tab right here that you can move a little closer. And then my other tab was right there, and it's a left aligned. And I'm not sure if it's going to work. No, it's not going to work because it's right aligned. So yeah, so not exactly the best case scenario, but you can, as I said, you can try that, right? So let's see if I align that to left. Okay, what's going on here? Oh, I'm a little too close. This is why. So if I align that to the left instead, and still have that going, you gotta move those around until you get it right. Come on. Yeah, it's not quite the best, but it's just a matter of massaging things until you get it right. So here you have the red, so we're going to get rid of the green in there. You can use the red from the car, and it's the same color and it looks the same, and it's pretty cool that way. Use a little bit of the brown just for a difference. You can use, sure, let's use the brown, right? And then something like that happens, right? And then you can have your paint shop logo again. So copy that, paste it in here. Come on, there you go. I'm gonna ungroup that, select that, make it really big. I selected too many things. There you go, make it really big, like so. I don't know, something like that. Play with it. There you go. I don't know, something like this. Maybe not a stroke, maybe a fill. Maybe that one's red. Oops, nope, wrong one. Make a fill out of that one, and then this one becomes a different yellow or the orange, and then that's your. What you can do with those, that you can almost create a bit of a spray, as if it was spraying all over it. Make this one yellow. For example, right? Again, you need to match the yellow background, but here you have another option, right?
Yeah.
So something like this. It doesn't have to be super crazy. It can be done very, very quickly, and then you have a business card, and you have a fake logo kind of thing. This is not really happy, that business card there. I'm not really a big fan of that, but because the type is just too close to one another there. So I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of my own design, which is, it happens all the time. So here, let's see if I can grab those dots and then put them right here. Like so. I don't want to make those dots red because that would look like blood splatter. There's the danger of that. Oopsie, wrong one. There you go, move that around. Something like this, right? And then as I said, like so that specific logo is just done quickly into InDesign, but you could create that in Illustrator, and you have a little bit more control over your graphic, right?
Yeah.
Right now, it's just like slapped together very quickly, right? So again, two options: vivid colors, right? Really bright colors, background colors that don't really match. And then use a color from the image, for example, or from the logo if you have one, and then place that in, and use that in the text, right? And again, it doesn't have to be big, right? So 9 points for the name, 9 points for the phone number is fine. 8 points for the address. You could even bump it down to 7 points, but anything smaller, you lose it, right? So this is my preview here is at 100%. If I switch to 150%, sorry, if I switch to 150%, that's about, on my screen right here, it's about the physical size of a business card. And if you can't read the information at 100% on your screen, you're not going to be able to see it once it's printed, right? So, so always be aware of that, right? So reduce the card size a little bit. So always be aware of that. If you can't read it, that's not going to be printable. And the purpose of those business cards is to literally have your information that is, very easily accessible, right? So your name, phone number, email, the address eventually, possibly if you work at a shop or whatever. But that's the primary information, right, that needs to be there, right?
Mm-hmm. And
I didn't put the website in the because if it had a website on top of that, you can do that on the separate page, not a page, but it's basically the back of the card, right?
Oh yeah.
Back of the card could be just that, right? You could have, an extra. I would add an extra page right there. I would add. I'm just gonna grab that, just copy that just for the style, and then this is what I could do. I could do a big text box right there with the bleeds. I paste my text in there. Right now my text is in the upper right corner, so I want to center it. What do I call it? I call it Paint Shop YYC. Paint Shop YYC.ca. So there's my web address. 9 point. I'm going to bump it to 10 point. I'm going to put that with a yellow background to match, right? For example, for this one. And then again, right click on it, text frame options, and then vertical the justification. I'm going to put it right in the center. And then that puts the web address right smack in the middle, right there.
Okay.
And then what I can do is I have that graphic again on the front, part of the logo, for example, an element of the logo, if or the icon or whatever. And then I'm just going to copy that, paste that in front there, and then I can do this. I can just move it to the side, for example. And then what I can do is I can do it color on color. Right now I'm using that yellow right there. I could use that different yellow, right? And it's a hint. Right? Mm-hmm. It's just a light tint on top of one another, and all of those colors came from that. What is it called? I don't even know the name of the car. That toy car right there, that photograph, right? And then here you have it, right? You have a simple, really bright business card, and it's readable. This is I'm at 125% right now, so 100%, and you can still read it, and that's it. Mm-hmm. It's that simple, right? So yeah, so practice that stuff, find some easy elements to work with. An icon, again, from the Noun project, which is for free, and they're vector. So you can download the SVG, which stands for Scalable Vector Graphics. Mm-hmm. That you can open it up in Illustrator and modify it, colorize it, do whatever you want to it, or just cut and paste into InDesign and then play with it, right? And that's it. Choose I chose one typeface for the whole thing, so I'm using the Avenir Next condensed right here, Avenir Next bold, Avenir Next medium. So it's always this within the same family, right? So I'm not using 2 or 3 fonts. I'm using one single font, but just different styles, right? So to create emphasis and to have a little bolder name, bolder type, or lighter, right? So this one right here for the address, which is secondary, I could even reduce that to a regular, right? And then, or let's see, ultralight. I might lose it completely. Yeah, ultralight would be too light. Yeah, ultralight white type on a solid black like this. That's not going to print very well.
It's hard to read.
Yeah. So play with that, because this is a very